Hi, I'm Charbria Shine, and welcome back to Max Out Girl. Hi, ladies. We are back with a very special episode, another Women in Business Spotlight.
Yes.
We have the amazing Twyler Jenkins.
Yes.
She is the owner, the CEO, the founder, and also the presidential.
Yes,
Yes.
I am the
She has a long
exactly like
title.
all of those things, right?
Yes.
So I am the president and chief strategist of Strategic Events Solutions.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hello,
Thank
my
you for
love.
coming on today with us.
I so appreciate the invite.
Yes. So tell us this amazing title that I needed help saying, right? Tell us a little bit more about that. What's your company? What do you do? How did it start?
Absolutely. So in 2001, actually, I started my company here in Chicago, although we have done meetings and events all across the country and all over the world.
Wow.
But in 2001, I started Strategic Event Solutions, and it is a corporate meeting planning company.
Okay.
And so we provide everything from registration facilitation services to logistics, to food and beverage coordination, to audiovisual coordination, any and everything that you need
All
for a
of it.
successful event or
Wow.
conference. That is what our company does.
I love that. That's
Yes.
fun. I love event planning. But how did you get into it? Did you grow up like throwing parties or wanting to do that? Like, how did you get into this?
In all actuality, it has been a part of my life. So I'm number 10 of 11 children.
What?
Yes, my mom had a lot of kids. And so we were
awesome.
there was always something going on in
Yeah.
our house, right? And I'm the baby girl, and so I grew up with
yeah.
4 boys. And so that kind of meant that I was always planning something, we were always doing something. And my father is a bishop, my mom is an evangelist, so we grew up in the church.
Nice.
So we were always hosting something at
Yeah.
the church or at the house. And so it really just became like this very natural thing that we were always doing and being a part of.
Yeah, so you enjoyed it all those years growing up.
I did. It was always fun. There was always something to do. There was always absolutely things going on in our house, in the community, like I said, with the church and all that involvement. But then coming to Chicago, I actually worked for Johnson Publishing Company. So I worked for Ebony Magazine. And from there, when I left after 2 years, I started my own company. And that was in 2001.
Wow.
Yes.
So you started
Over 20
doing
years.
before you officially left and started your own business.
Yes.
But what was the day that you said, okay, this is it. I'm leaving. I'm going to do my own thing.
You know, it did not start off with me just deciding to be an entrepreneur.
Okay.
So absolutely loved my job at Johnson Publishing Company, but it was a new endeavor and a whole new reach, I think, for in the late great, Mr. John H. Johnson.
Yeah.
Absolutely loved having that opportunity to work with him. But events requires money, and producing new things and doing new adventures oftentimes requires you to, have to spend some money. And so wasn't always willing to do that. And so then all at the same time, my father was diagnosed with cancer. And so I kind of just resigned and went back home to Indiana, a small town in southern Indiana, to help with my family. And so when I came back, I had a girlfriend who had a company doing merchandising, and she had an opportunity, and we had an opportunity to partner together and do a big event for the city of Chicago. And it was called Building New Partnerships at the time. And so from that is really when I really kind of never looked back at looking for a job. Ebony hired me back, which sometimes happens when you start off on your own, to do some of their events and execution. And then I was very blessed to get introduced to Reverend Jackson at Rainbow Push Coalition. And so, and that relationship had already been formed because I used to be at Indiana Black Expo, which is where my career really kind of started. And so, so from that, I just kind of became their meeting planner, and then other companies, organizations. I have been very blessed to provide services for the University of Chicago, U Chicago Medicine, the Art Institute, so many wonderful brands, McDonald's, both on the corporate, the nonprofit side, Chicago Urban League. I mean, the list just goes on and on.
Amazing
and so,
resume.
After those 20 years, it was great.
So what I'm hearing from what you're saying is relationships are important.
Absolutely.
And also, just having a great work ethic, diligence, and integrity and great character, because you said that Ebony hired you back. Had you said, I'm not going to be working here anyway, I'm starting my own thing, whatever, you know, and just not, you know, continuing who you are, having integrity and good character and great work ethic, I'm sure they wouldn't have hired you back, right?
So true.
So I love that. Talk about that a little bit, relationships, and then the importance of just doing good work.
Absolutely. You know, I attribute a lot of my work ethic to how I was raised and where I was raised. So I grew up on a farm.
Nice.
And so, and with such a
really?
large family, you know, you really did have to know relationships with not only with your siblings, but in community, and also relationships in your work ethic, because everybody had to pitch in on this large farm to do the work and get the work done, right? And so, and I think that carried on with what our parents instilled in us, and that's one, always do your best, right? And that's always show up. So I grew up in a very small white community, and so my parents were really diligent in making sure that how we showed up, our work ethic, even our performance in school, you know, that it was par excellence. You know, it was just really important for them to make sure that they instilled in us, especially as being one of very few Black kids in the community. I think that was really important, of course, to our parents, and having that spiritual foundation as well.
So
but as the old saying goes, don't burn any bridges, because you never know who you're going to need. You never know who you're going to meet. And the old saying, it's not about who knows you, who you know, it's about who knows you. And so developing those business relationships, it's critical to your growth. It's critical to your circle. It's critical to how people become to know you. And in being in the events business, I've seen some other event planners either not get business because of their relationships and how they treat people. And then I literally have gotten business. People have met me years ago and come back and find me because of my professionalism, because of how I show up at events, and I didn't know they were watching, but people are always watching you. And so it's extremely important to make sure that you show up doing your best.
I love that. I love that. I can attest to that, because a lot of blessings that I've had in my life are from maybe previous relationships or a previous boss, and people are like, you know, you should have left like this, and you should do this, and you should have. Even if I didn't feel that they necessarily handled everything right, I always want to handle things the right way, because sometimes they've come back in my life and been a blessing, like an opportunity. Hey, we have a project. Can you work on this? And I love it. So when I heard you say that, I'm like, that's so important, whether you're an entrepreneur or just, you know, working for someone, because relationships matter. How you end things matter. How you start things matter. How diligent you are. It so matters, and I love that. Because you've had to work with great people, and I'm sure it's because of who you are.
Yes.
Well,
that is, I mean, and even when people challenge you, and
they will,
even,
right?
They
definitely will.
Because I have worked in our community most of my career. And so even when you have those challenges, it is very important. And especially as a Black woman, right? And so we have so many negative stereotypes about us. And the general media doesn't help. Reality TV shows don't help, right? And so, you know, you have to make sure that you bring your best foot forward, and staying calm. Meeting planning is a very stressful industry. It's the 5th most stressful industry. And so staying calm under pressure, you know, never letting them see you sweat, as they say, you know, but it's not always easy, but it is important. And, you know, I think it does take a certain personality.
Definitely.
I think it takes a certain commitment, not only to yourself, but to others. The most important thing I would give as far as advice and entrepreneurs and a part of my success is the mindset of service, right? And so just keeping that mindset that I'm here to serve, that I'm very blessed to have the skill sets that I have, that God has given me. And it's not for me to just have for myself. It is to give to others. And so when you think of it from that perspective, and my mom used to say all the time, kill them with kindness. And so, you know, just be kind and just show up and be who you are, and do your job. Just, you know, do it in excellence, and everything will work itself out.
I love that. I love that. So you've had a booming career, and you're doing this business, the events and the meeting and the planning and just everything. What about you as an individual? It was booming. It's busy. I know event planning is stressful. So Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, it was stressful, and it had been, and it seemed like every time that I would go to my doctors, it just seemed like it was another prescription of anti-anxiety drugs.
Wow, so it's causing a lot of anxiety in your life.
Oh, absolutely, because that's what stress does. You know, stress can create anxiety, and we're really not taught practices of like wellness or health and wellness, which is what kind of spun my career. After about 15 years, I really kind of started doing the soul searching of, am I getting this thing right? You know, am I happy? Is it bringing me joy? I love what I did as a profession. I didn't always love the impact that it was having on me as a woman. And so when those critical times came, when, you know, we've all had those challenges of those who thought at that point when I was young in my career, some of those who I thought were mentoring me, but they were just being mean. They were just being mean girls, right? And so dealing with all of that stress and anxiety started to have an impact on my health and wellness. And so, of course, what do? You know, you go to your doctor quite naturally, right? And ask for advice. And so that advice continually became just about medications. And so at a certain point, I was like, there's got to be a better way.
Absolutely.
And I didn't know really where to turn. So just being prayerful and kind of meditating on things. And at the time, I was very blessed to have a life coach and a business coach. And I was turning 43, wasn't a milestone birthday, but certainly was a time in my life where I was like, man, you know, I've been doing this for 15 years or so, and you know, had crossed over that 40 threshold when you really kind of start thinking about, you know, where is my life and what am I doing? And so what do? I have an event. I throw a party. I have a celebration.
That's your go-to.
Right. My go-to is entertaining. You know.
You sound like me. I
so,
love that.
Right? And so, but I used it for a purpose, right? Kind of have this ulterior motive of not just celebrating me, but really wanted to convene 43 women who had inspired, influenced, and were important in my life.
Yeah, I love that.
As well as some girlfriends, and have a conversation about life, about our careers, about our relationships, about our spirituality. Because this check-in that, you know, God kind of inspired me to do was like, you know, we don't talk to our elders enough, right? And so we're not at the feet of those, you know, we don't go to Big Mama's house anymore and have, you know, our aunties. And so at that community that we used to have, we didn't have. So I convened my community. And so from my mother to my aunts to my sisters to community leaders who are mentors of mine, we went to Parkway Ballroom right around the corner and had this dinner and this conversation. And of course, that's the seed that was planted to pivot into what I now do, which is the CEO and founder of the I Am That Woman movement.
Wow. So tell me about that.
Yeah, it's a nonprofit organization that's all about Black women in leadership learning how to live. Like literally 6 pillars of wellness, focusing on our mental, emotional, spiritual, financial, physical, and nutritional well-being. Because what I learned from that gathering is we haven't been taught how to have joy. We haven't been taught how to even kind of live and even look at what does our best life mean and look like, because culturally and historically, we've been brought in to nurture and to take care of others, and we do that very well. We don't do a good job of taking care of ourselves. And so as I started looking at the health statistics of Black women, I started seeing this revelation of, wow, we have the highest rates of heart disease and breast cancer and fibroids, and no one talks to us about menopause and all of these things that we go through as Black women. So what does that mean? And especially with me being in a stressful career, I couldn't be the only one dealing with these issues. And so I'm an empath. Like I always want to give to someone else. If I find out, I want you to find out, right? If it's helping me, I know that it can help you. And so that's what this movement is about. It's about us learning how to live with some best wellness practices on our holistic wellness.
No, I love that. I feel like work-life balance is so important. I was always a person that just would work, you know, and then I realized like I'm burnt out. I would find my joy in my career and what I was doing, and you know, but I realized that's not everything, you know, and if you're burnt out at the end of the day, what's left, you know? And so I love that you said learning how to have joy, because we can be doing all these amazing things, but that's lacking.
Yeah.
We can be thriving in our career, but that's lacking. And so I just think self-love and self-worth and just this holistic view of taking care of self. I love that, because you're right. It's so easy to neglect ourselves. I say it all the time. We pencil everybody else in, or we put them in our Google Calendar or whatever system you have.
Yeah.
But sometimes we don't put, and I've started to do that, like, okay, hair done, relaxation, nap, like, you know, because sometimes it just won't happen.
No.
So how does this movement work? Exactly.
So, so it is a movement about our health and wellness, and we have ongoing programming all throughout the year. And so, and that programming can be everything from the beginning of the year when we do a vision board session, because it's important for us to set our vision at the beginning of the year and to know, you know, what it is that does bring us joy. And it's not just cutting pictures out of a magazine and pasting them on a poster board. We really facilitate almost like this workshop in this session with the guided person who knows how to help you even do a heart meditation before you start, or we've had different facilitators to come in. And so it's important for us, for what I say, kind of do those deep dives into who we are, because very rarely do Black women take time to pause and just really be self-reflective and do that self-discovery. And even if you've been in a career for years, it may get to a point where it's not fulfilling you or bringing you joy anymore. It may be bringing you more anxiety and stress, and it's hard to pivot if it's what's paying the bills or if it's what you're most familiar to. But if God has a higher calling or a different calling for you, then it really does take a process to help you to go through. And we're here to help you to go through that process. And also help you to manage that process. So mindfulness, right? So we offer prayer and meditation every morning, Monday through Friday. It's just a conference call line. So we offer programs that will help you with your spiritual, mental, emotional, physical, financial, and nutritional well-being. I love your podcast. We do this every Friday at 4:30. You can go on our website, our YouTube channel. We're always interviewing different women about, again, those 6 pillars of wellness.
I love
and
that.
then, of course, we have our Women's History Month brunch and luncheon every March, because we are celebrating who we are.
Yes, I love that.
And there's so many industries that women don't get celebrated. Sometimes we see the same women getting awards over and over again. And there are a lot of unsung heroes in our communities who are doing work in nonprofits and hospitals. And we just honored media mavens, because they live in a very stressful environment. They have to show up. They got to be beautiful. And some of them have even gone through, unfortunately, racism, because, you know, as new directors come in, perhaps their skin tone is too dark or their hair is, you know, we've kinky, all gone through those things. And so that's a lot for us to take on. And we don't talk about that. And so the Women's History Month luncheon, we had a conversation about wellness in the workplace, and how do you take care of yourself when you are living in or experiencing these very stressful and high anxiety careers. And then we have our annual retreat, that's coming up. A shameless plug, just less than 30 days away. We are going to St. Thomas, the U.S. Virgin Islands, for our holistic wellness retreat. Again, focusing on those 6 pillars. Have 8 amazing speakers from all over the country coming in, supporting to us about our wellness.
Nice. Well, thank you so much for coming on. What is some lasting advice that you can give to a woman who wants to maximize her potential in her life? Just a little nugget.
A little nugget. Self-care. You know, that is what this movement is all about. And so put your oxygen mask on first and make sure that you take some deep breaths every single morning that you wake up. Wake up in gratitude. Take some time for you. I don't care. Don't turn that TV on. Don't pick up that phone and do social media. Pause and be reflective on who you are. Do some affirmations. Do some strong I am statements, no matter how you're feeling. I am beautiful. I am loved. I am forgiving. Let go and let God, and live your beautiful, best life that you can live.
I love that. Thank you so much for coming on our podcast today. It was such a pleasure interviewing you today.
Thank you.
Yes. So ladies, I know she dropped some nuggets. Take this to heart. self-care. I'm hearing that, taking care of yourself. This is the biggest thing that I'm taking away from this, and it's so important. So please take that. Please share this, whoever is going to be a blessing to. As you know, you can follow me at Charbria Shine at Maxed Out Girl. So we hope we said something and encouraged, inspired, and elevated your thinking. And always remember to max out, girl. I'm Charbria Shine. Talk to you next time. Bye, guys.